والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I'm honored to be here. I'm grateful to see a lot of you. It's beautiful. I want to share something before I start with you. I remember sitting to my mother's bedside. My mother came down with an ailment that your nervous system begins to shut down slowly. So you end up at a place where your lung muscles stop working and you actually suffocate. For 2.5 years, my mother went through this. And slowly the body is shutting down. So you're dying slowly. One thing I can tell you about my mother, she always had a smile on her face. No matter what, she was bedridden for almost 1.5 years. But she always had a smile. And I'll give you her advice that she gave to me. She said to me, Wissam, she called me over, and at a point her tongue became weak and her voice changed. It was very difficult for us to understand what she's saying. So she calls me over, and I'm next to her bed, and her smile's on her face. And at that moment, she tells me, she points to the window. Then she points at her bed. And she says to me, she says, Wissam, she says, this bed right here, she said, this is a godly prison. She says, this is easy. She says, don't worry about me. This is easy. And she points outside to the window. She says, that's a worldly prison. Don't get caught. Be careful. I would sleep next to her on the ground. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would see her, she's awake. She got to a point where she couldn't turn. So I had to flip her. But imagine sleeping on one side and how irritating it gets sometimes. I knew she was awake, and I would just wait for a second, and I would look up. And she would wait, and wait, and wait, and wait. And she wouldn't tell me to flip her. Then I would just get up, and she would smile. So to me, I would ask her, like, why didn't you just wake me up? She would smile at me and say, I just didn't want to do that. How does a person do stuff like that? How? How do you endure such pain? But she was teaching me. She was telling me how to live. She's equipping my heart with strength. And no matter what happens, as long as you have closeness to Allah, nothing matters. I would sit with her and I would do dua mashlul. Constant. And then one day I got there. In about 2 hours. Later my mom would pass. I didn't know that. I'm sitting outside, me and my brother. We go inside. My brother, who's in the health industry, is in the medical field. He sees her, she's different. My mother slowly is getting worse. And my brother says, he goes, I think she's passing. And that moment just hits. It's very difficult to even share the story. just your heart. So she waited for all of us to get there. All of her sons and her daughter and my father. We're all sitting next to her on her bedside. And I began with Surah Yasin. I began reciting. And I'm reciting. And I get to the last verse, which I didn't know what it was till that moment. And it said, وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. And to him you're going to return. That's the last verse of Surah Yasin. And I look up, and my mom opens her mouth for the last time. And she closed it. She was gone. At that moment, no one can help you. No one can do anything for you except your relationship with Allah. Nothing can help you in that world. Nothing. No doctor, no friend, no foe. No one can help you. So we began the first night with the concept of Tawheed. Tawheed. When you look around, everything is organized. Look around you. Look at the way your body works. The world is organized. Everything that is organized needs an organizer. Therefore, the world has an organizer. Very simple. We talked about if there's tea and there's sweetness within the tea, which is sugar. What made the tea sweet? We said what? Sugar. What made the sugar sweet? Reflect on these concepts. Tawheed is a very important concept because when you find Tawheed, you find safety. In the Quran it says, Al-Itmi'nan. Ya ayyuhan nafsul mutma'inna. This assured self, the assured soul. You have assurance that when you're on your deathbed, you could smile at death. And you're not afraid. The heart is intact. It's actually longing to go back to Allah. That's a beautiful thing to own. Those emotions are not given to everyone. You have to earn those emotions. So on that level, when we talked about Tawheed, we said you have to find Allah's address in your heart. It's on you. Tonight, I'm going to show you how we get there. Inshallah, I can do that. From there, we said Tawheed is a simple thing. When you reflect on it and you look at the clouds, the average cloud holds 1.1 million pounds of water. Reflect on that. What moves it? Allah uses the wind, but a plane can go through it. How does that work? Reflect. Think. الذين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, the Quran, it states الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم. Those who reflect, they think about Allah. They actually are with Allah. How do you get to that stance where you're always constantly with Allah? Think of photosynthesis, how a tree takes in certain from the sunlight and it provides you oxygen. You're actually dependent on the trees. How does that work? Reflect on that. This is Tawheed. The beginning of life in your mind is Tawheed. Now we said from there, how does the Prophet connect to Allah? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We said that the Prophet has a direct connection to Allah. There's three forms we said, 1, 2, and 3. Direct connection through a Prophet and through a means. So the Prophet, how does that happen? The Prophet, when he gains something from Allah, it goes from the metaphysical to the physical. How does that happen? simply. It's casted down on the Prophet's heart. That's still the metaphysical. When Allah's message is coming directly from Allah to the Prophet's heart, that's the metaphysical. It turns into visualization in the Prophet's mind. Then when the Prophet speaks the Quran, it becomes physical. That's the transformation. That's why he's the bridge between the seen and the unseen. Then we also said, he is the bridge, so he has to bring proof from where? The unseen. You cannot bring proof, we said yesterday, if you have an experimental condition. If I boil water 100 times and it boils at 100 degrees, I now have an experiment. I cannot use mathematics there to give you the conclusion. Or I cannot tell you, I cannot use experimentation versus on the side of mathematics. I have to have a 90-degree angle. I have to use mathematics. The proof has to come from the source itself. So the prophethood is an unseen concept. So the prophet has to bring what? From the unseen to the seen. This is a miracle. So we said yesterday that the Quran is the first what? Proof. Because we said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَقَالَتَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. And those who disbelieve say to the Prophet, even back then. Imagine the Prophet is walking amongst us right now. And some of us would disbelieve. At that time, they said, you're not a messenger. لَسْتُ مُرْسَلًا. You're not a prophet. The Prophet says, كَفَى. Enough as a witness for me, Allah وَمَنْ عِنْدَهُ عِلْمُ الْكِتَابِ. Enough for me is Allah. Allah is not something you could just what? See. So Allah's words, which is the Quran. So the Quran is a miracle. How? How is the Quran a miracle? Anybody want to play a little game with me? You guys ready? Okay. 5147. Can somebody look it up real quick? Let's see who can do it real quick. Anybody know it? Please look it up. Everybody has a cell phone now. 5147. And if you can read Arabic, please read it. Hurry up. I don't have time tonight.
98.
What's that?
98.
No, 5147. The verse. And if somebody else can go to 2788. And somebody can go to 5520.
Surah Adiyat.
What's that?
Surah Adiyat.
Yes.
We built the universe with great might, and we are certainly expanding it.
Okay, expansion. So the Quran talks about expansion. When did we figure out that the universe was expanding? Not too long ago. The Quran is a miracle. Why? Because it has knowledge prior to what? Exactly. It speaks of that. Then the titanic plates underneath the ground. وَتَرَى الْجِبَالِ. I'll just say them. Okay? وَتَرَى الْجِبَالِ. What do you think when you see a mountain? You think it's fixed. تَحْسَبُهَا جَامِدًا. You think it's fixed. وَهِيَ تَمُرُّ مَرَّ السَّحَابِ. And it actually moves underneath the ground. Tectonic plates are moving underneath. When did we discover that? The Quran has that. Then it speaks of the two seas that what? Have come together. But do they merge? It says بَرْزَخٌ بَيْنَهُمْ بَرْزَخ. There's a barrier between them. They don't mix. How does that happen? How does that happen in the middle of a desert? How? Ask yourself. So reflect. Know what you have in terms of a messenger. He's the exemplar of that. أَنَا مَدِينَةُ الْعِلْمِ وَعَلِيٌّ بَابُهَا. I am the city of knowledge, and Ali is its gate. The reason why we follow Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. The reason why we follow Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, because he is the softness to the heart. He is life. And you see now, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. He's not for us. He's a mercy to mankind. So stand. Don't be afraid to show who you are. Don't. Understand, like we said yesterday, who you're following. Understand that. Tonight, أنا مدينة العلم وعلي باب. Tonight we're going to talk about the gate, the lion of Allah. How? Who? Imam Hussein alayhi salam, these nights, the turmoil was all over. Now, the challenge has come to the gate, as we said yesterday. The challenge is there. From Allah to the Prophet, now what? The Imam. Imam Ali alayhi salam was known to be one of the warriors of Islam. Imam Ali didn't fear execution, didn't fear death at all, didn't care that Wahsha, when he was hired to kill Imam Ali or Rasulullah, he says in the hadith, she asked him, she says, kill Rasulullah, that's what I want. Kill him. He says, there's too many people around him. She says, Ali, alayhi salam. He says, Wahsha states, he says, there's no way he will ever be killed in battle. She's like, why? He's like, I've seen people throw spears at him from the back, from behind. And at the last second, he would turn around and grab the spear. Then he would turn and look at the person who threw it. That's the kind of valor, the calmness, the tranquility in the heart, that in the middle of the utmost fear in battle, look at the calmness. There's a calmness in the heart. That's what you have to get to. When the fireman's going towards the fire and everyone's running out, are you going to be that person? Ask yourself on that day, because the challenge is coming. Every day is a challenge here. Every day is a challenge inside your heart. You're either going to win or you're going to lose. You're going to submit to Allah or you're going to what? Submit to your temptation and humiliation versus honor, dignity, and respect. So, this tranquility, this calmness that we need. يا أيها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية. That soul that's assured. Come back to me. Come back to Allah. How do you get to this tranquility? What is a nafs al-mutma'inna? How do we achieve this tranquility? We said yesterday that you have to find Allah's address in your heart. And when you find Allah's address, what happens inside your heart? You gain what? This assured state. You become tranquil. You become something else. Everyone's running away from the fire. You're running towards it. There's only a few that can handle the battle of Kabbalah. There was only a few. Don't think there were many. There was only a few. So the training of the heart happens every day to get yourself where? To get yourself there. Now, the Quran pieces into 4 categories. An-nafs. Number 1, an-nafs al-ammara. Number 2, an-nafs al-lawama. Number 3, an-nafs al-aqila. Nafs al-aqila is the one who goes into the depths, as we said before. And number 4 is an-nafs al-mutma'inna. Nafs al-ammara is your desires. There's a desire inside your heart. Food. A lot of us like food. We get out of here, food is waiting. Sometimes we can't wait to the food. Many types of desires. In the Quran it states, زُيِّنَ النَّاسِ مِنَ الشَّهَوَاتِ. There's plenty of temptation. Number 2, النَّفْسِ اللَّوَامَةِ is your consciousness. It's the one that tells you, no, don't do that. Don't do it. You see a little kid? Do you think they care about what you think? Look at the kids. Look at what's here. When they're actually younger, do you think they care about you and what you think? What's running them? That's nafs al-ammara. The self that's been what? It's controlled by that. They touch, they feel everything. It doesn't matter. They're not asking for your opinion. That's nafs al-ammara. Then after a little while, what happens? The kid goes to school. They get in front of another kid, and now the kid grabs their toy and now they're fighting. You know what happens? The kid realizes what? Wait a minute, this world is unfair. I better reflect. How does this work? I can't have everything that I want. That want is now curtailed. It's cut off. That's nafs al-lawama. Third level is when you begin to reflect. You go deeper. You ascend and you graduate through these levels. And then what happens? You get to nafs al-aqila. It's the depth. We said yesterday, some of us have what? Snorkel gear. Some of us have scuba gear. And some of us have what? Submarines. And we can go into the depths of the ocean of our own identity and personality. Which is, I'm going to show you, is the subconscious mind. Your own subconscious mind. So now what happens here is something that's very important. And please pay attention. Now, the third level, when you graduate through the third level, you get to the fourth. And the fourth is al-itmi'nan, which is satisfaction, tranquility, calmness, stillness, al-hudu. Where's anxiety? Where's depression? It doesn't exist. Not in this soul, not in this heart. It's not there. So when my mother is looking at me and she's in this state and she's smiling, smile, it's a gesture. It's not a word, it's a behavior. How do you get to that? How do you get to that kind of position and your heart gets smiling? Because when a smile comes from the heart, it's different when you're smiling just on the face. When a concept is like that, and you connect the concept from the mind to the heart, and it's sincere, the smile becomes sincere. But you know how powerful that is? It's incredible what happens to you when you can be in that kind of state. So that's al-nafs al-mutma'inna, al-itmi'nan. Al-Hajj yesterday mentioned, ala bi dhikrillah tatma'innu al-qulub, al-itmi'nan. This tranquility, this calmness. Now, what is al-nafs al-mutma'inna? Let's answer that question. You have two parts to your mind. The conscious and the subconscious. On that level, the subconscious mind has three powers in it. It has three categories. Number one, your instincts. Number two, when you get through that phase, you begin to understand. Al-Quwa, imagination. And number three, your inclinations. This is all in your subconscious mind. Go in psychology, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. This is inside your subconscious mind. Your inclinations are when you feel something towards someone. I like this person. I don't like this person. Matt, you know sometimes when you go into the presence of someone and you just don't like them. I'm sorry, I just don't like you. I don't know why, but something's telling me I just don't like you. Something just doesn't work. There's something, the energy between you and that person is not working. There's something that you differ with that person. That energy just is not right. And sometimes you walk into someone's presence and all you want to do is just hug them. There's something soft about their heart. It's incredible. That's inclination. Your imagination, your memory, this all sit where? In your subconscious mind. The conscious mind does the thinking, innovates, puts together ideas, connects the dots, wisdom. That's your prefrontal cortex. So now from there, you have two parts to your body, to your mind. What should you do from here? So the subconscious mind, think of it as like a hard drive. Here's the key. The second you take your conscious mind, which is your thinking, and you dive where? Into the ocean of your subconscious mind, which is your personality, your character, who you really are. وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Death is to fool who? Yourself. It's the one who doesn't reflect about these things that we're talking about right now. They don't dive into themselves and see who they really are and how Allah has put the puzzle together on the inside. You have to figure that out for yourself. And there's a uniqueness to that. So now on that level, here's what happens. If you get to that point and you get yourself to your conscious mind, to your subconscious mind, what you need to do to get to itma'nan is the conscious mind has to dominate the subconscious mind. When the conscious mind overtakes the subconscious mind, this is al-itma'nan. Because you begin to direct from the conscious mind to the subconscious elements that you have, your hard drive, you begin to point it to who? To Allah. This is how you find Allah. And as the Hajj mentioned yesterday, how this completes the whole version. Man arafa nafsa, faqad arafa rabbah. You can see God from the inside. You can reflect on the outside world. You can look at the clouds. You can look at the mountains, no problem. But you can find Allah from where? From the inside. Because Allah has put His address already in your heart. So what happens? What are the signs now? So Imam Ali alayhi salam is a nafs al-mutma'inna. Because he is the gate to the Prophet, which is the city. And the Prophet is the gate to Allah. Now, when we pray, we ascend. We ascend, and as-salah, ma'raj, al-mu'min. So salah is the what? The ascendance of the believer. So your salah is extremely important. So what is the difference between someone man yuqimu salah wal musalli? There are 3 stages. I'm going to give them to you really quickly because I don't have time. Then I'm going to give you the 3 stages and I'm going to end. So here, inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. How does your salah have an action on your behavior? 3 things. Pray on time. Number 1, pray on time. Number 2, pray with a tranquil heart. Number 3, do a nawafil. Get up in the middle of the night. Get up in the middle of the night and worship Allah. If you can do that, watch how Allah casts down His care and love for you. Now from there, what are the signs of a nafs al-mutma'inna? As we ascend through our prayer, number 1 thing is al-mi'raj. Al-mi'raj is ascension. So through your prayer, you can ascend towards Allah. Number 2 is al-khula'. When you can ascend through your prayer, what happens to you next? Al-khula' is you start removing the love of the world from your heart. So the second you begin to go through these stages, you finally get to the 3rd stage, which is al-fana. This is Imam Ali alayhi salam. Al-fana, Imam Ali alayhi salam says, he says, "Ma ra'aytu shay'an." I don't see anything. Wa ra'aytu Allah qabla wa ba'dahu wa fawqahu wa tahtahu wa fi. Dhi'lib al-Yamani. It comes to Imam Ali alayhi salam. He says, هل رأيت ربك يا أمير المؤمنين? He says, أعبد ما لا أرى. He says, do you think I worship something I do not see? He says, وكيف ترى? And how do you see him? He says, ويلك يا ذعلب. Woe unto you, O ذعلب. لا تراه العيون بمشاهدة العيان. The eye, the naked eye cannot see him. It has a limit. ولكن تدركه القلوب بحقائق الإيمان. But you find Allah where? Inside your own heart, through true, authentic belief. This is Imam Ali alayhi salam. This is the gate that's connected to Rasulullah. He is a nafs al-mutma'inna. So find the gate tonight. Where Imam Ali, I'll finish with this final story. Imam Ali, under his caliphate, under his time of reign, he's walking and he sees a Christian elderly person. And he looks at him, and he was begging. And the person was begging, and Imam Ali did not like that. He doesn't like someone to beg. He says, who is this? They said, he's a Christian, and he's begging. He says, when he was young, you guys used him, and now that he's old, you forget about him? Give him from the what? The treasury of the Muslims. This is Imam Ali. He's not just for us. He's for who? For mankind. So please, reflect on these nights. Know who you follow. From Allah to the Prophet to who? To Imam Ali. That is the gate. Understand the gate. And tomorrow, inshaAllah, we will talk about the road between us and the gate. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.